Good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to the Operation Heal 100 Hearts channel, where we focus on healing, humor, and hot topics. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are here, you know what that means. That means that you love the healing part of this channel, the healing segment of this channel, which is our Dear Deja letters. So before we get started, if you're new to my channel, please do not forget to like, comment, share, and more importantly, subscribe. By you hitting that thumbs up, which is the like button, what you are doing is supporting the channel for free and getting me out here in the algorithm so I can gain more subscribers. And for that, let me thank you in advance. Okay, let's get started on this Dear Deja letter because I know you guys don't like to wait. So let me get this out the way. Let me say this. As I said, if you're new here, please hit the thumbs up. And also subscribe to the channel and stick around because I want you to give me some feedback and drop some comments in the comment section about the commentary that I gave this Dear Deja letter writer. So here we go. Dear Deja, my man has been at his new job for 4 months, and from day 2, him and one of his female co-workers just couldn't get along. The vibe I got from the stories he's told me is that he's new and very good in his line of work, so it intimidates her. And because of that, she only does shady things to undermine him. He's been popping shit about her since he got there, so I decided after his probation was up, I would pop up randomly and see what the problem is. When I arrived, I caught him and a colleague in a heated debate in the lobby of his job as soon as I walked in. What my man forgot to tell me is that he had beef with Lena Waithe, aka a lesbian. The person looks like they are a part-time owner of a sports club, runs 6 miles a day, and can bench press my ass without breaking a sweat. As I slowly approached them, when my man recognized me, he said, "I'm not going back and forth with no girl, my girl right here." The look this lesbian gave me sent a chill down my spine. I ignored the ish out of her and started trying to redirect my man's focus. When he saw I wanted nothing to do with the coworker or the situation, he got further annoyed. Anyway, one coworker was able to grab the person my man was arguing with, and I was able to remove my man. That was 72 hours ago, and he hasn't said 2 words to me since. He says he isn't mad, he's just disappointed with me because I didn't have his back. Honestly, Deja, it would have not been smart of me to try and scrap with this person. Hell, it wouldn't have been smart for my man to take her on either. I don't want to have any more issues over the situation, but I don't want my man to feel unsupported by me either. What am I going to do? Sign, I'm not beefing with no Bulldagger. All right, my dear. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a sip. I'm sipping some water. Long story. That's my own Dear Deja letter. In any event, let's run it down. First of all, I do understand that there may have been, I don't want to say some fear, so I'll just use the word intimidation. There may have been a tad bit of intimidation, when it came down to having a bumble with this individual. I don't know how this individual identifies, so I do not want to say anything to offend anyone. Right? And I get it. I get it that there was some fear surrounding, or let me use the word intimidation. I don't want to offend you either, but that's what it sounds like when getting into this situation with this individual. I have to ask a question. My first question would be, how old are you guys? How old are you guys? Because, well, I'll get into that later. Let me first ask, I would have to first ask your age. If we were having an Operation Heal 100 Heart session, I would be like, how old are you and how old is he? Right, that's number 1. Number 2 on the list, as we talk about time and time again with these Dear Deja letters, a lot of these things is really about communication and honesty and communication with connection and so on and so on and so on and so forth, right? So I don't know how long you guys have been in a relationship, but once again, you guys have to be able to see eye to eye, have some clear dialogue about what the expectations are for one another. Now, the way a little bit of me feels like the way he kind of like threw you out there, right? As if to say, like, my girl is here, so she gonna handle this, leads me to believe that that's probably what you normally do, right? And I'm not saying you normally fight, but I'm pretty sure that when he has situations with other young ladies or situations of the sort, you probably pretty much step in as his woman because, of course, we don't want our significant others, especially when they're males, going back and forth with females. So I can understand how that took place, right? And he said it so freely, like, that's your role in a relationship. I get it, right? I also think you may have perpetuated that as well because it seems like when he was coming home sharing the stories with you, you was pretty much on board. Like, yeah, this bitch need to be checked, right? So I could see when you walked in, him feeling the comfort to be like, here she go right here, check her. um, what I would have to ask is one, how well your boyfriend knows you, and two, if it's not that well, how can you guys communicate so he can get to know you better? Because not knowing that you would be intimidated in this type of situation is kind of a red flag contingent upon how long y'all been together and so on and so forth, right? Also, one of the things that I want to point out, and I know that this I might need to have a little bit more context about this story for me to actually say this, but I'm only saying this from the facts you gave me in your letter, is that the first thing that we need to have a conversation about is him putting you in danger, right? And I don't want to necessarily say putting you in it on purpose, right? I don't want to say it was intentionally because I think in his mind he thought you was going to handle it. So I don't feel like I'm putting you in danger if I'm putting you in a situation where I know that you will have the upper hand. So I think he threw that out there because you have been perpetuating like, yeah, I got this. And he honestly and confidently felt like you did have it. So I think that's why he more so, said, hey, you right here, get it going, right? Which is understandable. But the bottom line about that is anytime that a physical altercation takes place, that's up in the ante on a level of violence, and you don't know what can transpire after you up the ante. Right? So I think trying to have the conversation with him about A, being honest about being intimidated, and then B, being honest about how you felt about your safety being put in danger. Right? Now, let me say something about this because I don't want you to be hypocritical. So there's a few ways we have to approach this. You can't use the tool that I'm giving you in regards to your safety being put in jeopardy if normally you don't care about that, right? So if normally you don't care about that and you used to popping off for your man knowing you have the upper hand and normally you're not intimidated, if you try to turn around and use the tool that I'm giving you about putting your safety in jeopardy, he might look at you like you motherfucking crazy, right? So what I would say is just be honest and start off with, I didn't I felt intimidated. I felt intimidated. I could look at her physically and it made me feel like she might be able to overpower me or she might get the best of me, and because of that I didn't want to have any interaction with her. I know that saying that is really, really like standing up butt naked on the Empire State Building because it's so embarrassing to have to share that, right? But I want to tell you this. You've already kind of subliminally shared that when you shied away from the altercation right there in the young lady, right there in the individual in his face. So I think to some degree he already knows that you were intimidated. I just think it probably could open the doors for more communication if you just honestly flat out said it. Because then that will also help him know how to move forward in situations regarding him and altercations and, involving you and so on and so forth. So I think that it will be embarrassing for you to let him know that you was intimidated, but I low-key think he already know. And that's what made him even more pissed because he felt like he thought you was going to be about that action and you showed up and it wasn't no action. Right? And what I will say is this. I mean, there's nothing wrong with feeling like you don't want to put yourself in harm's way. That's one thing, right? But if you know that you're that type of person and that could sometimes happen, I think you need to lay that out to your man ASAP Rocky. Right, because waiting and holding off on it or acting like you're another way and then showing him something totally different, it could really jeopardize your relationship. It could really jeopardize your relationship because it now has the person looking at you like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Who are you? Right? So that has happened to me. It's actually happened to me vice versa. Right? And I think I'll just share, which I like to always do to make it relatable, you know, for me, for you and I. Um, when I got in my relationship, I was 4 years on my healing journey, right? And a large part of my healing journey requires me to be 100% nonviolent, right? Because I realize the only time that I want to be violent is when I'm in the worst space that I can be in. Because when I'm the best version of myself, I have no desire to be violent, right? So when I got in my relationship, one of the things that I shared was that I'm not into that. I'm not into that. I'm not into allowing not one living rat's ass to disrespect me, but I'm also not into just popping off and having a fight, and I have no desire to do so. People can't even get under my skin enough for me to do that until recently. Right? And I've had a few situations where my significant other got to see that I'm dead serious about being healed and whole, and that's not who I am. But then there's been other situations where he like, who the heck is this? And you know, for me, it's very embarrassing, and it makes me feel sad. And because, like I said, whenever I'm to that degree, I am not the best version of myself. I am not in my healing space. I am not doing well on the healing journey. I'm just low, 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 low. So if you have gotten me to go there, if you have gotten under my skin enough for me to go there, then I know I'm in my sunken place, right? But I can see my boyfriend looking at me like, I didn't know what is that? You know, and I don't want my significant other to feel like he's dating a stranger. So I think it just would behoove you, you know, moving forward, just to be honest. To be honest. You know what I'm saying? If a man, if your spouse loves you or really likes you, knowing things that are facts about you is going to make them like you or love you even more, right? Unless it's some horrific thing that they would have never thought of you. That's the only time a spouse will start to love you less. But when you're honest about who you are and they genuinely love who you are as a person, those little things on the side they can kind of move forward with, right? So if you shared with him that, you know, listen, I didn't want to get into an altercation with that person because physically it looked like she may have been able to overpower me and get the upper hand, and I just didn't want to go through that. Right? And also, you can also share what I think is the issue as well is that, and I can see this for anybody, not only didn't I want to have that situation because I assumed that she would have the upper hand, but also because I didn't want to be embarrassed to that magnitude in front of the man I love. You know, and I think he can understand that if that's the case. Right, but if it was solely about you just being intimidated, you have to also share that as well. Because for him, he assumed that you were one way, and because of that, he dealt with you in that way. And now when it comes up, you're not that person. And like you said, now he ain't even speaking to your ass. And it sounds to me that he's not necessarily mad with you. He's just more so hurt. And I could imagine it's because you didn't tell me who you really were. Like, you made it seem like if anything was to arise, me and you would be able to tackle it together. You would have my back. And now when something happened, you standing here looking at me like I've done something wrong. That's not what he signed up for, because that's not who you presented you were. So, my dear, you're going to have to go in with straight honesty. Straight honesty. I know sometimes when folks have issues sharing certain things with people, they would send it through text message, they would write it in a letter, they would send it through voice note, because some things may be too embarrassing to say face to face. Who knows? What I will say is, however you so I'm sorry, you guys. This is my recording space, decorated beautifully, but you know, there is some things I need to work on, right? In any event, you have to show up honestly. You have to show up honest. You have to show up honest about who you are, right? Especially if you want the relationship to continue. And also, it helps the both of you guys set expectations for your relationship. You know, like let me see an example that I can give about my own situation that's very honest and clear cut. Um, Let me think for a little while. We'll get back to that. But you just need to be honest with him. And I know it's going to be embarrassing, but guess what? Who you really are is going to show up anyway. It just showed up in that situation. And I think that it also may hurt a person when you're not honest about who you are, because then it makes the person feel like you don't trust them. And you don't want your spouse thinking you feel like you can't trust him. But you can also share, which I could see might be the issue. But again, I would have to have more details, which we could go through in our one-on-one session, and I know you're gonna come through and have. But you can also share with him why why you may have said that you're that type of person, right? What prompted you to put out there that this is what you would do? And because I've been in situations like that, right? When I was younger. Okay, so let's just say a guy may kind of hint to the fact that he's either had exes that were very freaky, or he likes girls that are very nasty. It's to some degree, I would try to portray that that's who I am, right? No, good and goddamn well, that was not who I was at no goddamn 17 years old, 19 years old, 21 years old, right? So if they hinted to that, it kind of made me believe like, oh, that's what you like. So let me just play up to what you like, right? And I did all of that. And then when it was time for me to be the nasty, freaky, slutty whore that they wanted, they was looking like, who the fuck is this nun, right? And I mean, unintentionally, but it's just not who I was, right? And I think that they were more so upset because it's like, girl, I don't give a fuck who you are, because I like you for you, but I wish you would have just told me this wasn't who you are. Now, granted, some things can make people not fuck with you no more if they don't want to fuck with you because of who you are, then it's not your person. But in any event, listen, if a person bangs with you, some things they could work around. And I don't see him not being able to work around the fact that you may not always be a fighter. Right, that's why I asked about the age, because 9 times out of 10 when you're younger, that's more when you're into having physical altercations and so on and so forth. But when you're a tad bit older, you're a little bit more mature than that. You have more conflict resolution skills, and you know how to pretty much go around things before it gets to this point. But if you're not there yet, then the expectation is for you to pop off. And if you have been making it seem as though that's who you are and that's what you do, why would he expect anything less? And I also think that this situation might not be a bad thing, because it may open the doors for plenty of conversations that you guys need to have in order for your relationship to move forward. What else haven't you been 100% honest about? What are some of the things that he hasn't been honest about? What are some of the things that you guys can come to terms with so you guys can move forward? What is the expectation? And the reason why I always share in my Dear DJ letters with folks, especially surrounding relationships, I always talk about communication, because that's usually the downfall of most relationships. People find out certain things, and certain things are revealed, and it's either A, we didn't talk about that, or B, you didn't share that, or C, you wasn't honest about that, or D, that's not the way you portrayed yourself, and now the other party is feeling betrayed, because all of who I thought you was and what I thought this was is not really the truth, right? And that could really, really turn a person off. Not necessarily the act of you not wanting to fight, but the fact that you acted like if anything was to happen, you would want to, right? So I think you owe him honesty, and vice versa. And it also may help him reevaluate some things, because that's another red flag that has to be raised. I understand that the young lady is trying to intimidate him. I understand that, it makes him feel to a certain degree inferior. But to have this ongoing tension with a female at work, that led me back to asking, how old are you guys? Because if I'm being honest, and this is not to be disrespectful, it's just me being honest, it's immature. It's immature to be at your place of business having constant quote-unquote beef with the opposite sex. It makes absolutely no sense. And really and truly, you have absolutely no time for it. You're there to work and collect your check. Okay? Okay. See, and my mind is a little crazy, because in my mind, I start saying, do you like her? Because every minute you're up and down with this bullshit. But see, that's just me when I'm not in my healing space, when I need my sessions. But we ain't going to go there. But in any event, in all seriousness, this situation is solely about communicating. You need to communicate with your spouse, and you need to communicate honestly. If you were intimidated, I'm going to say that. And you can even share some of the things that made you intimidated. Like you said, it looked like this person may work out a lot. It looks like this person, may have gotten the best of you because of their stature. Again, you don't know that to be fact and law, but that's what you felt, which is why you moved the way you moved. You have to share that. Because if not, once again, he going to be looking at you like, What, bitch? And in all fairness, I think he still won't look at you like that, because remember, you portrayed the image prior to this that you was petty, you was Pamela Popoff. And now when it was time to pop off, you trying to resolve the situation and calm me down and get me out the way. Oh, no, 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 no. I told you was here because I want you to get it on. What happened? So yeah, I think it's time for you and Boy to go back to the drawing board, and let's set some different expectations for what the future looks like for your relationship, and also, letting him know who you really are. Because I'll take it a step further, which I see this happen with a lot of people too. It may have been that's how you used to be, and you're not clear that you're no longer that person. So a lot of times I see a lot of people say, because I used to fight in my 20s, I used to get it rocking, and they're saying this at 46 years old. Sweetie, that was 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago. That may have been who you used to be. And now you're put in that same position, and you're realizing that the 22-year-old you is not showing up. The person who you are right now is, which is actually the 46-year-old, and this is not a good look for you. So also learning and accepting the new you. Are you a person that used to fight? Do you still want to fight? Are you done with fighting? What image are you putting out there for your spouse to believe that that's who you are? And if it's not who you really are, can we get down to the nitty-gritty of the reality of who you are so y'all can have some honest dialogue? And I promise you, I know honest conversations are uncomfortable. Honest conversations are uncomfortable. I know I sit up here on this mic and I make it sound so motherfucking easy, but honest conversations are uncomfortable. I've had a number of them in my relationship. And sometimes you walk away from them crying. Sometimes you walk away from them feeling like you don't know if this is going to work. Sometimes you walk away from them feeling like you could propose to a motherfucker tomorrow because y'all done got so deep. That's really contingent upon you and the other individual. But the only thing that I can tell you that would benefit you, because this is the letter that you wrote, I can't speak for the other individual, is you have to do what's best for you, and you have to be honest about who you are with this man. You have to be. And if you are a person that can be intimidated when it comes down to physical altercations, you have to say that. Whether he likes that or not, it's who you are. Whether he accepts that or not, is who you are. But you have to first accept that about yourself. I don't know if you've done that yet. But if you came to your Operation Heal 100 Hearts one-on-one session, we would be able to have some dialogue about that. Okay? So I hope to see you soon. In any event, my dear, I hope this helped. I hope this helped. I hope that your boyfriend is able to kind of, develop some more conflict resolution skills, which I would suggest he comes to an Operation Heal 100 Hearts session. That's just me. Only because I think that I can help him with some tools for his tool belt regarding conflict resolution. I am excellent at it. I do a lot of it at work. I do a lot of it in my personal life. I do a lot of it with myself, because I think that if he has that, he would be able to maneuver around this colleague without having so many transgressions. And another thing is too, if he can't, he will realize that he can't, he will move on. And that's a part of growing as well, and being mature as well, knowing that this place is not suitable for my growth. I need to move forward. Or your sanity, for that matter. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he might want to come have his own individual healing heart session. Maybe y'all want to come together as a couple to have this conversation about the new expectations being set in your relationship, because you're now being honest about who you are right now, and vice versa. So once again, I hope I was able to help. I hope that this penetrated a little. I can't wait to see you for your Operation Heal 100 Hearts one-on-one session. Also, if you are new to my channel, once again, thank you for tuning in, staying this long. Please make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Make sure you are hitting that bell, because I drop Dear Deejas, My Popular Opinion, Lit at 6, Live at 5. I'm dropping shorts. I'm here for the content. You can put whatever you want down in the comment section. I tell everybody, I do not debate and I do not delete. All of these letters and all of my content is always open for dialogue and discussion. That's what I put it out there for. Not only do the letter writers want your feedback, I want your feedback as well. Deja, what the fuck you telling them people? Or Deja, okay, that made a little bit of sense. Or Deja, You know what I'm saying? I'm here and I want to take it all in. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. I truly, truly appreciate it, and enjoy your day.